Welcome to Season 1 of Amplify Connect, the podcast presented by East Yard Enterprises. I'm Kevon Gareth Fotheringham, and I invite you to join me for dynamic conversations with changemakers and visionaries as we explore development work, art and social impact, and the transformational power of cultural diplomacy. Mrs. Chervon Cupidore-Crickie is a dedicated wife and mother of three who has always been deeply involved in youth and community development. Professionally, she holds the position of senior school social worker with 9 years of experience at the Ministry of Education in Trinidad and Tobago, serving both primary and secondary levels. In 2014, Chervon graduated with first class honors, earning a BSc in social work with a minor in social policy, and she is currently completing her master's in social work, focusing on her final research paper. In addition, she holds professional certifications in theater arts, project management. Driven by her passion for child and youth development, Chervon has actively participated in various mentorship initiatives aimed at empowering young individuals in Trinidad and Tobago. Her commitment to fostering growth and resilience in young people led her to become part of the U.S. Alumni Network through the Community Solutions Program CSP in 2022. The CSP is funded by the U.S. government and administered by the International Research and Exchanges Board, IREX. During the program, she was placed at Jacob A. Reese Settlement, a non-profit located in Long Island City, New York. Over a 10-week period, she was instrumental in launching a mentorship program for youth in the community and participated in civic engagement activities, the Community Advisory Board, and social networking initiatives. Upon her return to Trinidad in 2022, Chervon launched her own mentorship program in Central Trinidad, successfully running 2 cohorts that reached over 75 young people. Currently, she is spearheading a youth mentorship initiative with the Women's Federation to provide support and guidance to at-risk youth in Chaguanas, Trinidad. This program is funded by the U.S. Embassy Port of Spain. Chervon is an active member of the CSP alumni group, which consists of 16 fellows dedicated to mentoring current global leaders participating in the international program in the United States. Through this role, she ensures that these leaders receive the support necessary to implement their community action plans in their home countries. Let's get into today's episode. We are back for another episode of Amplify Connect, where I connect with fellow U.S. Embassy Exchange alumni, and we shine a spotlight on them and amplify the work that they have been doing before they went on their exchange programs and now. And I am excited to be here with Mrs. Chervon Cupidore-Crickie. How are you?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good.
Excited
like
to
being
be
in
here.
Port of Spain today.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So Chervon, as I said, we're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
Yeah? You're a social worker.
Yes.
Yeah? So tell me about that journey into social work. Why did you choose that field? And really, how has that been going?
Yeah. All right. So I have been employed with the Ministry of Education for 9 years. I started off as a school social worker in the Caroni area. The role of the social worker is primarily to work with at-risk children and families to maximize their learning potential. So we tend to go through the system of children being referred, giving them that psychosocial support, and when needed, refer them for specialized interventions.
Okay.
I worked in Caroni for about 8 years. There was, of course, an ad out for promotion, and I applied, and now I'm a senior school social worker for the St. George East Educational District, where I'm in charge of secondary schools in the East.
Okay.
And we are able to, same thing, manage day-to-day interactions at the schools, protecting our children, just keeping our eyes out for our nation's children. So that's really just my journey. I love social work, and I don't think I would choose any other profession but social work at this point.
But was it always like that? Did you always want to be a social worker?
Initially, I wanted to get into theatre arts.
Okay.
I was the first batch in my school to do theatre arts as a CXC subject.
Okay.
Following that, I got into Napa, signed up to go to school there. And my mommy was like, no, you're not allowed to do that. That don't pay. I got that don't pay. Kind of talk. And I was like, all right. And then she was skeptical about me traveling and having late night rehearsals and all these things. So I went to UE again, took the booklet from Humanities and Education faculty and Soci faculty, and weighing out the options. And I decided to do social work. Take that route because I think that was still going to allow me to interact with people.
Right.
And to allow them to express themselves and to marry the skills in theatre. So I tried to do a minor in theatre arts. However, it was a clash with scheduling.
Right.
So as soon as I finished my degree, I went back and I did theatre arts, the certificate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll come back to the, how you've been able to marry theatre with the social work and the other social impact stuff that you're doing. Sure. But I want to jump right in now to your exchange program, right? So you were selected by the embassy to participate in the Community Solutions Program, which is a year-long professional development program that supports engaged civil society leaders ages 26 to 39. So yeah, we're saying your age here.
Somewhere there.
To enhance their leadership and technical expertise to address economic, environmental, political, and social challenges in their local communities. So this was a tailored 4-month fellowship you had with a U.S. nonprofit organization, and you were placed with the Jacob A. Riis Settlement in Long Island, New York. Who are they? What did you do? And what did you bring back home from what you learned working with Jacob A. Riis?
Yeah, right. So Jacob A. Riis is a non-governmental organization out there in New York. They have several branches, all right? But we worked out of Long Island City there. Now they provide support for community. So really a community-based settlement.
And when you say support?
When you say support, we looked at they do charity work. They provide support for the elderly in that they create like a activity center for the elderly. So all day we have the folks coming in, senior citizens coming in, engaging in different type of activities just to keep them engaged. We have an after-school program there, so they work with the youths through the after-school program. Wow. And what they would have provided every day, and this was like new for me. They had a bus sharing out meals, so like Meals on Wheels.
Wow.
And they had persons coming every day to get their meals. Anybody in the community could have benefit from this. They also had a unit to provide support for migrants. So they provided English tutoring services free for the expats coming in, persons coming in, migrants, and they also provide legal guidance and support for those who are seeking like asylum seekers and things like that. So we were placed in the office.
Though. That's broad.
It's a broad nonprofit. So what our CEO did, Mr. Christopher Hanway, what he did is that he tried to find out from myself and my fellow who would have been from Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So he found out what was our skills, and I told him for my return project I wanted to focus on mentorship, and he was like, that is so much in line with his organization because they recently received funding to start a mentorship program. So we were actually there for the starting up of this mentorship program there. And most of our time would have been spent on this initiative. And we also pulled towards doing a community advisory.
Okay.
Because he wanted to get the community involved in some of the decision making of the nonprofit. So we were part of launching that initiative and civic engagement. That time it had like elections coming up, and I love politics also. So I had the opportunity to be on the field, meeting some of the local councillors, politicians. They're doing their walkabouts. We volunteered to get them to, flip the ballot. I remember that, flipping the ballot and really voting for some of the changes in the constitutional changes was happening at that time. So it was exposed to some of their political changes, climate a little bit. And that's really a gist of it. I'm telling you, if I had to go back there, I will go back right
in a heartbeat.
I will take my bus from Brooklyn. I stayed in Brooklyn. I will take my bus and I will take the number 2 And number 2, I'll take my number 2 train and I will head right back up there.
Awesome. So prior to this, so you would have spent, it was a 4-month placement.
Yes.
So prior to this, have you ever spent as much time outside of Trinidad as like 4 months?
No.
So
My
how
job
was
pretty sheltered.
how was that?
Yeah, so that was a transition. At that time, I would have had 2 of my kids. So my son, I remember my first day of placement, August the 8th, my son turned a year old. So I would have been on practicum and I was calling back home just to make sure he was good because I had to celebrate his birthday before. So it was emotionally taxing at times. You know, just having that support system, however, was important. My husband was very supportive to the whole transition. And I made contact with some family members I did not know I had in the US.
Right.
And I used that opportunity to reach out to them. And they came, they visited me. Some so long-lasting relationships that I keep now with family members only because I was there and I needed support. So understanding the purpose of support system helped a lot in transitioning. But I can't say if anybody thinking about doing this program to take it up because even though it will be 4 months, a lot of people deny because of 4 months away from my family. But I think it's rewarding. It's a sacrifice, but you will have that support out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, because I did the IVLP, so that's the International Visitor Leadership Program, and that was 3 weeks.
Right.
But it was 3 weeks traveling through 4 different states.
Wow.
So we literally were on the road
Yeah.
almost every day. It was really exhausting, but similar to what you would have just said, I think it was one of the greatest professional experiences.
It was.
You know, so similar to you, I would say I do encourage anyone who has the opportunity to not just to do a program, but a program that lets you see how other people do the same thing that you do.
Yes.
Or how they may do something that may be elevated or amplified, basically, and learn from it.
Correct.
You know, so it's just, these are all learning opportunities. How did you hear about the program?
A friend of mine know that I love community work. And this would have been, as you mentioned, looking at things we did before the fellowship. So before, I used to always be involved in faith-based organizations and community-based organizations. And she said, I know you like community work, so look at this. So I signed up and through just, I think it was a Facebook post that came through her feed, notifications, and then she sent it over to me. I took a hold on that one time. That was because I see like, I always wanted to, but like think about international studying or even international, because I traveled before.
Right.
But as I say, professional development. So I saw it as an opportunity to get in on that.
Okay.
And to me, I think a lot of people in my circle was like, how did you even find out about this thing? They don't even know things like this exist. And they're like, I'm telling you, persons messaged me so much times after this to sign up.
Yeah.
So I know 2 persons who already signed up.
They've signed up, so hopefully they can, hopefully they're chosen.
Yeah.
Because it is very competitive.
It is, and I was going to say that it was very competitive. I did not get through, in the first cut.
Serious?
Yeah, I didn't get through. I'm being honest, I didn't get through. Like, they sent me by March month, sorry, due to the overwhelming response. And I was like, okay. And by May,
called you back.
They're like, someone probably didn't take up the spot, and there was a spot, and I was like, that was supposed to be for me initially.
What's for you is for you. Exactly, there you go.
And I was like, so for me, it was just a short time I had to get everything in place.
Right.
So it was really difficult at times to get all the documentations and things like that. And thanks to the embassy, local embassy here.
Also being a new mother. Okay, yeah.
And I had a support from the embassy here, the point person at that time. And she really helped me a lot in terms of providing guidance. And that's one thing I always say with the embassy back home.
Supportive,
Trinidad embassy. They really reached out and prepped us for the culture, what to expect. Because I was with another fellow who, I must say, unfortunately, passed away last year.
Sorry to hear
so
that.
both of us, we both were in the fellowship together. But we really created a really bond to support each other through the 4-month period. So yeah, I think...
I'm sorry to hear.
Yes.
Please accept my condolences.
Yeah.
I know it's tough.
Yes.
So 4 months, right? You came back home. So this was a year-long program. You spent 4 months abroad, and you would have had like online meetings and trainings and mentorship.
Correct.
Great. You came back home. What happened next?
I came back home and I crashed. I came back home and I felt like I couldn't move physically. I'm like, I didn't know commuting so much was hard.
Yeah.
They really say New York is walking city.
Yeah.
So after I crashed and I recovered, I started to plan my community action project. This is a mandatory part of the community solutions program. So you graduate from your 4-month internship and then you have to graduate through your completion of a project. So
that's intense.
So we were thrown in now to submit this final document by July. And we have to complete the project, do everything.
Okay.
So I started to, even before I came back, they have an intense component to keep us engaged in the planning process. So before we get back home, we already would have had our project proposals in place.
Right.
Probably make contacts back home. So I had my contacts back home that I started to engage with to start getting discussions. But I must say the transition was a little challenged back into the work life. 4 months, really and truly, most times every weekend you're in Times Square, you're trying to run away to get in some entertainment.
Yeah.
So coming back home, trying to adjust to the culture back home, I did miss USA. So it's had a little nostalgic moment. You have to go through that. And then I started to make contact with persons to kickstart my mentorship program.
Right.
I selected a community. I selected partners that I wanted to work with to really focus on this youth program, matching mentors to mentees to create impact and overall personal development. And it led to a full learning experience for me. But thankfully, I had the opportunity in launching the program back in New York.
Right.
That I borrowed a lot of knowledge. I had most of the resources.
Of course.
We attended a lot of training sessions. So I borrowed a lot of materials.
To just use here.
To apply here. So it was really applicable. The techniques, the skill sets that I had. And I wouldn't, blow your own flute. But back in New York, I did most of the work for the mentorship program. So coming back home, it was like easy peasy. Because I was like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And it was able to get the ball going. The only challenge, I had some challenges in setting that up. And I was able to mitigate that. And it was really time management. I would say getting the buy-in of the mentees to get our children, the youth target group involved. Yeah. So we had some challenges getting that off the ground. To submit it in a time frame, but it was done. It was good.
Well, I mean, based on what I've read about you, I don't think you had a problem getting buy-in because I'm seeing that first thing had like over 75 young persons engaged.
Yeah.
Right? So I am going to toot your horn, even if you don't want to toot your horn. I am tooting your horn and saying congratulations on that. And I mean, so that was part of the project that you had to do.
Yes, we had to do that.
And then I know now that you're expanding.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes. So the passion is still there. All right. So we completed year 1, graduated from the program. And the overwhelming response, parents wanted it to be longer because it was only 4 weeks. So parents reached out. The group that I collaborated with stated that we wanted to probably add several components to it. So I got pregnant again. So I was pregnant doing this whole program. Got pregnant. Upon arrival in January, I got pregnant. I must state. So I did this entire thing pregnant. So I went on maternity leave. Yeah. So when I went on maternity leave, I came back and I told persons, well, I may not be a new mom again. Right. I may not be able to do the program, but they were knocking at the door and we were like, we need to do it. So multitasking, thankfully, I had a strong support team and everyone knew their role. And so doing the second phase of the program, it allowed us to really move. But this phase, I'm telling you, we expanded it, added new components, and it pulled me to the growing edge because I said it added structure.
Right.
And that was a gap.
Right.
And this cycle, structure was the main focus, not interaction with the mentees, not just...
Because you've done that because it was a successful pilot. So now it's just, lessons learned.
Yes.
And, build that foundation so that you could expand the work.
Correct. So we had a lot of time was spent on training mentors, developing a training manual, something that I had to learn to do. So we had to do a training manual. I had to pitch my idea to new stakeholders. So I had to tweak my proposals. I had to really build this thing towards reaching the eyes of external persons.
Yeah.
So a lot of time would have been spent on that, and the curriculum we developed a curriculum for the youth. We did not
Wonderful.
want to just teach them anything, by the way. So we developed a curriculum to help the mentors work better with their students.
Okay.
So yeah, the mentorship program this time around really pulled us towards structure, and I think it paid off.
Yeah. And I don't know if I should say it, but I mean, you are partnering with the embassy for
Yes, and I think,
another round for this larger round, right?
yeah, because this was the first time we never we did the first 2 projects kind of out of pocket,
Right.
and then because we had that experience with adding structure, when I saw the project proposal, if I did not have that structure, I mean, it would have been challenging to engage
apply.
to apply.
Mhm.
When you looked at the requirements and different components, especially monitoring and evaluation, we know how important that is for any project. But because we had certain elements in place that only came in last time around, it was simple to get things
Yeah.
in. We still have other things to put in place to continue to expand our group. And
You
it's a
can only
learning
do that
curve.
as you go.
And then persons
Yeah.
like yourself, who I would have reached out to support me in getting things done, I would have said, I was like so pleased to meet you at the alumni mixer to really have that support team.
And look, we're here now.
And look, I'm here
Yeah.
now, and I could only imagine future collaborations, being an active, I would say, a mentor, an
Yeah.
influencer in
Yeah.
our space, and to really merge, amplify.
Right. Okay. So I did say that we would come back around to this.
Mm-hmm.
So social work, mom didn't want you to get into the arts. So you took it upon yourself after you were like a big woman. I can do
yes.
whatever I want to do now.
Yes.
I'm satisfied, doing the social work. And you
Yes.
went back and you did a certificate in theater arts.
Correct.
Yeah. How have you been utilizing and merging now this training and love of theater arts and what you called it here? Because I have it here. Play therapy.
Play therapy.
Into the work that you're currently doing.
Yeah, I'm the drama girl. I'm good. Anything for drama, call Chervon. You'll find Chervon. What we do most times, we recently started this initiative of merging theater with some of our group counseling sessions. So sometimes we have youths, because we tackled several issues. And let's say we have a group of at-risk young men. We're trying to get them to express themselves.
Role play.
And we
stuff,
do role
yeah.
play.
Mhm.
Drama and education to work with larger groups. And the social workers are doing these things, but they're not aware of the techniques.
They've been doing it for years. Yeah.
And they're not aware of these skills that they could really integrate to enhance their work, as I said, to make the work even easier and to get greater results. So I was able to utilize techniques such as drama and education, with the play therapy. I went back to do further studies in this, to really use creative intervention strategies. That has always been my theme, to use creative intervention strategies to meet our target population. I did my practicum at a senior citizens center. I worked with retirees using drama
Wonderful.
to allow them to talk about their daily experiences.
Wonderful.
So drama could work, could work with any age group, any culture, any barriers. It passes that. So at this point, I'm working with my ministry back home in here to develop new role plays.
Right.
To apply to specific topics such as bullying. So we have role plays for bullying, role plays for self-esteem and self-awareness. Specific role plays targeting these topics to allow officers to apply it and get a better result. So social work and theater could hit the stage and really marry itself.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, you're a person after my own heart because I have branded myself. I don't need anybody to brand me. I have branded myself an art for social change advocate.
Yes.
So I am all about, harnessing and highlighting and amplifying again the importance and the power of the arts to affect social change.
Awesome.
So wonderful work.
That's why we naturally connected.
Yeah, wonderful work. Jumping back to the CSP program. So you are a CSP alumna, and now not just mentoring through your own programs, but you have been tasked with mentoring current CSP participants
Yes.
from around the globe.
Yes.
How is that?
That's a challenge I took on this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time CSP is including this component to help their fellows when they go back to their home countries to transition
Mm-hmm.
and keep their eyes on their project, because most times they feel alone when they go back in their different countries. So I have 5 fellows right now that I'm working on,
From where?
with
From where?
from countries such as Kyrgyzstan. I have Romania. I have a fellow from Liberia.
Wow.
So I have some of those, yeah, and they were looking at topics such as disability, mentorship, working with women, and working with providing guidance for young
Awesome.
people. So what we're doing right now is going through their project proposals, helping them narrow in, find resources and opportunities to really complete their CAP, because we want everyone to graduate. That's the aim for CSP, that all fellows
Right.
graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm just working with them to keep them built into their program and provide that mentorship. So I have mentorship training from CSP
That is
currently.
cool.
So I am being trained to be a good mentor.
Yeah.
And that information I'm currently also
Sharing,
applying to
yeah.
my program.
To your program as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm able to work with my fellows and connect with them. And we're talking about other things too, dealing with some
Of
of their
course.
social issues and their mental health challenges, adjusting in a new environment, such as the US. Some of them are placed right now in Cleveland, Ohio.
And what's happening in Cleveland,
Yes,
right?
and
Yeah.
they're talking. One of my fellows
Yeah.
actually there was a New Orleans, so there was like storm watch, so just checking in on her. So it's really nice experience to work with the fellows and keep them engaged and learn about their projects. And also, CSB has an opportunity for you to apply for grants, so I could visit their country to help them implement their program.
Get on that.
So I'm hoping.
Hurry up and get on.
I could visit one of my fellows and
that's awesome.
and help them to really just get their program off the ground next year. So I have that. If once I get in on that, we will be able to do that between the period of April to June next year.
Well, I mean, you are very well positioned to mentor individuals who are engaged in mentorship programs themselves, being a social worker,
yes,
and being, so passionate about mentorship and pushing the idea that mentorship is important. I think, especially in our Caribbean context, I don't think we place enough value on mentorship, because if you would speak to any American business person who has a startup, who hasn't anything, everybody has a mentor.
Yes, they'll say,
right?
My mentor.
When I'm asked if I have a mentor, I'm like, I don't think I ever really had a mentor. There were people I would bounce stuff off of, but to say mentor. So I think what you're doing is really necessary. It's important. Right now, I need a mentor. Right? But in closing, Chervon, it's a wonderful interview so far, I must say.
I'm enjoying myself.
In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges? No, that's too broad. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing our Trinidadian youth today? And how can mentorship be part of the solution?
All right. I think the gap that led to the mentorship program coming on stream that we saw, the social gap we saw, would have been the gap between the child and the home and the parenting relationship. And there's this big space. There's so many influences happening between the parent and the child that creates a barrier, and that information that we think is pertinent for the child to receive from the home
they're not getting.
Was not, they weren't getting it. It's too much conflicting information. We know, due to stages of development, challenges that pops up in the child's life at a certain age, you can't really prevent this. This is going to happen biologically and psychologically. So we knew that when that child reaches 12, that child is going to start looking and asking some key questions that mommy and daddy may not be able to answer, or they may not want to come to mommy and daddy on the whole, even though parents could answer it. So we say, here's what, if a child receives a mentor, and we know that there's a breakdown in the home, sometimes a lot of single family headed households, absent parents, we know the job takes up a lot of their time. So we know if this mentor comes in, they're not replacing the role of the parent, but they're just providing a bridge just to that child and the existing resources. Just as you mentioned, I did not have like a strong mentor, but I had persons in my life who guided me and connected me as to where to take
resources, to things.
No, you could sign up here, you could do this, you could apply for this. I think if I had someone a bit with more experience. I could have done a lot more when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then, so now I'm looking back, I'm like, we don't want to deprive our youth. We want to connect them with the right resources. We want to get persons in their lives who could build capacity, as we talk about capacity building. So where we have mentors, persons desirous of working with youth, persons who just could connect them. A lot of my mentors comes like, I afraid them. I was like, what you afraid of? The youth won't bite you. They just so want to give back. Let's say they want to give back. The adults in the community, they want to give back. And they're watching the youth, but they don't know how to connect with them. Yeah. They don't know the language, but how to build that rapport. And when they lock in with their youth, you can't break that relationship mentor to mentee because they start a tight bond with their mentees. Something that I have to tell them, hey, you need to introduce termination because the program ends in 10 weeks. So we have to follow best practice.
Yeah.
To a point, so we have to include that in interactions with them. But I can tell you, socially, we need to have systems for our youth to have additional resources, information. We need a world of information, misinformation. So much things happen.
A lot of misinformation.
And we need the youths to get real life examples as to what happens, what to prepare them and equip them. So at present, we're working with at-risk youth, but I believe all youth will need a mentor, need that type of support. Some groups, of course, will be more vulnerable than others, but we think that all youth must get some level of mentorship throughout their journey into
their development.
Yeah. And as you said, lifelong. So now you could be a life coach, you get a life coach, you get somebody to help you in all areas of your life, because we need support.
Throughout life.
We can't work
every
in
stage,
isolation. No man is an island.
Correct.
We need support. And I think post-COVID, it pended because a lot of, we as a social worker, was privy to a lot of mental health challenges coming out of the isolation.
Yeah.
So they needed to learn. Some of them, right now, we can't even get them to come in person. Everything is online still for the mentorship program.
Yeah.
So we have to get them back out. We took them on a field trip. We carried them back. It's like, this is the world.
Exactly,
outside.
and meet people, and
socialize. Get in there.
Into the real world.
So that's it. So
okay.
Well, Chervon, it's been wonderful. I really enjoyed this interview. I can't wait to watch it, But I just want to tell you, thank you for your service. As I tell everyone that has been on the program so far, thank you for your service. And sometimes we don't say thank you enough to people who are doing these kind of things. So thank you. And I just wish you all the best on continuing this journey of connecting you to the right resources. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for viewing or listening to this episode of Amplify Connect, the podcast. I want to thank our production partner, RJ Live TT Productions, the team at East Yard Enterprises, and the U.S. Embassy Port of Spain for providing the use of the American Center for recording this episode. Be sure to subscribe, share, leave comments and ratings wherever you view or listen to our podcast. Welcome to our community.